Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Hope all is well. It's very important that when we serve God, we put our heart into it and that we have the proper focus. And the Rebbe says something very interesting. The Rebbe says that when you serve God without the proper focus, the proper kavana, you're getting a spark of God for sure. You're getting a spark of God's light 100%, but it's a separated spark from the source. So you're still bringing a godly spark into the world, godly light 100%, even when you don't have the proper focus when serving God, but you're only bringing a separated spark. However, when you serve God with the proper focus, with the recognition that I am serving God right now, I'm serving the King of Kings, I'm bringing God's light into the world. And even more specific, the Rebbe says, when you focus, when you serve God and you imagine it, not imagine, you're serving God with the proper focus as if it's the first time, then you bring down a new added light that's connected to the source, a much more powerful, radiant godly light into the world, an infinitely greater light. So what does this mean? This means that the Rebbe connects this to the verse in the Shema. It says, in these words that I'm commanding you today, Hayom alev avecha should be upon your heart. What does this mean? It means that why does Hashem specify, say these words, these commandments that I'm commanding you today? It's not today. These are commandments forever. Why is Hashem saying to us these words that I'm commanding you today? So the Rebbe explains why today. We have to meditate on this verse because each day that we serve God, it has to be as if Hashem gave us the Torah today, because we know that Hashem didn't just give the Torah. He gives the Torah at every moment. Every day Hashem re-gives the Torah to us. That is why in the morning when we say the bracha before learning Torah, we have to make a special blessing before learning Torah to ask Hashem permission to learn His beautiful Torah. We say thank you Hashem who gives us the Torah, not just who gave us the Torah, who gives us the Torah. So the Rebbe explains that when we realize this, when we meditate upon this idea that Hashem is giving us the Torah at every moment, that now that I'm serving God, it's as if it's like the first time. Just like the first time you do a new mitzvah, the first time you start learning about God, you feel very excited. It's new, it's fresh. So too, that freshness, that newness has to be renewed every day. We have to arouse within our hearts a newfound excitement to serve God. The Rebbe explains that when we meditate upon this idea that today the Torah is being given, then it will allow us to connect to God fully. Not just to bring a godly spark, which is great, but it's still limited. It's even though it's an infinite godly spark, it's still not connected to the source. That's when you do a mitzvah, that's when you serve God without the proper focus. You're still doing an amazing thing, you're bringing God's light into the world, but you're missing out on an even greater potential, and that is when you serve God with the proper focus. And we learn, because it says it should be upon your heart, that relates to emotions. So that means that when you think about this idea, you have to try to think enough about it till it arouses emotions within the heart. Because the emotions, when you have love and fear of God in your heart, it allows you to serve God in a much deeper way, and it penetrates you much further. As we know, intellect, the brain is above the emotions, is above the heart. The intellect is above the heart. And the intellect has the ability to influence the heart because the emotions literally come from the intellect. That's why when you meditate or you think about a certain idea, it arouses an emotion. If you think about something scary, you'll feel scared. If you think about something interesting, you'll feel interested. If you think about how great Hashem is to you, you're going to feel love towards Him. If you think about how powerful Hashem is and how He reigns over all of the earth and above the earth and all the worlds above it, you're going to feel a fear and an awe of God. So it starts with the meditation, and the Rebbe Rashab explains how, and all the Rebbeim explain how really there's emotions within the intellect, meaning thinking about how you should love God, thinking about how you should fear God, how God is worth your love, how God is worth your fear, and all the details that may arouse the love or fear, that literally in the intellect will arouse within the emotions of feeling. And you know that intellect is above the person. Intellect exists even beyond a person's personal existence. It's just factual, it's just a reality. Whereas emotions then relates to the person themselves. So the point is, when you're connecting God through intellect, as high and powerful as it is, and it's even above the emotions, it doesn't penetrate you as much. But whereas when you take that intellect and you keep meditating until it hits the heart and you feel a love and a fear, then it penetrates you completely. Because when you feel something so hard in your emotions, it's one with you. You can't ever forget it. It's much more permanent. And that is because the animal soul is very related to the emotions, and the godly soul is more related to the intellect. Therefore, when you can get your connection to God to penetrate your emotions, that elevates the animal soul, and it brings you to infinitely greater heights. And that is the ultimate purpose of creation, that all flesh should come to know Hashem and feel love for them in their hearts and an awe of Him. Therefore, let today be like the first day you're finding God. At every moment, you have to refine God, because God is beyond infinite. That means that no matter how high we've gotten in our relationship to Him, this is just the beginning, my friends. So let us get excited. Let us realize that today is the day that we're getting even closer to God. We'll always get closer. And may He show mercy upon all of us, and may He redeem us immediately. Thank you guys so much for your support. May Hashem bless you all.